Hello everyone, good afternoon. It's Richard from Risk and Safety Compliance Services. Now I've got a tripod on this camera, but it's so windy where I am, it keeps falling over, so I'm going to have to keep a hold of it, I'm afraid. So I hope you're keeping well. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. I've got a great announcement coming up next week. I'm not allowed to actually mention the name yet, but this morning I was appointed to assist with health and safety and various audits and risk assessments and training for one of the UK's most famous visitor attractions in the UK. It's a ginormous operation, and I can't wait to tell you all about that next week once the final permissions and all the contracts are signed, and I've got it in writing that I can actually discuss it in this type of social media outlet. So here I am today. Look behind me, you can see Tynemouth Priory, one of the local visitor attractions very close to where I live. It's a beautiful location. On the other side of me is the bay, the South Shields. On the right hand side you've got the Fish Quay, North Shields, and this big thing behind me is the some kind of big monument to an old sailor, and I think it's the Collingwood statue. Let's just go and check that and give you any bomb information. There you go, Admiral Lord Collingwood, famous Navy guy apparently, and that's where he stands proud overlooking the sea here on the northeast coast. So the other thing I wanted to mention was this bit of paper that I've been studying this morning. The Health and Safety Executive recently released the statistics, sadly the fatalities as they relate to the industries that I closely work in, and it's the forestry, agriculture and fishing industries. I'm not so much involved in fishing, just agriculture and forestry. But in the reporting period, so 20 to 21, sadly there were 41 fatalities. And it's worth mentioning these because the statistics are pretty much the same year on year, and it's the same causes. And that's why I spend a lot of my time advising and teaching in farm safety, because every single one of these is actually preventable. So out of the 41 people who sadly lost their lives, 9 were employees, 25 self-employed, and 7 members of the public killed by somebody else's work activity. And the usual suspects, these will come as no surprise to anybody. What's killing people in our industry, in our farms and estates? 13 people killed by vehicles when they've been struck by things like tractors and ATVs and that kind of stuff. 11 people killed by animals. Often complacency can set in with farm animals, and what can appear to be, say, a very sort of placid, good-tempered animal, typically cow or deer, can suddenly turn. And if you find yourself in the wrong position at the wrong time, like these people did, it's very easy to quickly succumb, be gored, trampled, bitten, whatever the case might be. And once they get going, and if you're stuck between a solid object or a vehicle or a gate or a post or something, you've got nowhere to go. So cattle, particularly dangerous, we need to be extremely careful. 6 people killed coming into contact with machinery. Typically that's power takeoffs, people not protecting their PTO shafts that spin around with a massive amount of power. 1 second of contact and you've got no way back. You literally are dragged in, sadly. 4 people killed when they're struck by objects. 3 people killed falling from a height. Person killed by a collapsing building. And this next statistic, easy for me to say, actually surprised me. I would expect this to be higher, and that's 1 person killed by slurry fumes. When people are mixing slurry and spreading, they can very quickly be overcome by the toxic fumes. And very often, sadly, in those types of accidents, more than 1 person gets killed, because the rescuers who go in to try and save the person who's struggling also become quickly overcome and also become a casualty. And there was 1 person killed by fire. So it makes for grim reading, but the thing that's worth bearing in mind, if you work in that industry, farming, agriculture, forestry, we've really got to think about the risk, because when things go wrong, they go wrong, badly wrong. You know, people get killed or seriously injured, life-changing injuries. But the prevention is really quite straightforward. If we've got competent staff who are well-trained and disciplined, and we've given them the right amount of knowledge and instruction to enable them to work safely, empower them to work safely. So good well-trained staff who are competent, but then have robust management procedures. Yes, we need policies and risk assessments, and we need method statements and all that kind of stuff. So the paperwork side of it for compliance is quite important, but it's more than paperwork. We want people behaving correctly, so it's down to management and leaders leading properly, leading by example, and making sure that our people at work are provided with the tools and equipment to work safely, but also the knowledge and the belief that we want them to be safe at work. So good leadership is critical in health and safety, because that will drive the behaviours that we want. And a thing that is very easily overlooked, rewarding good behaviour. When we see people wearing their crash helmet when they're driving the quad bike, stopping them and saying, well done, you're doing exactly what we want you to do, goes a long way in reinforcing that behaviour. And other people get to know about good news, so reinforcing the behaviours we want to see, but also not walking by the behaviours that we don't want to see. So there's an old saying that the hazards and the dangers that you walk past as a leader or a manager is the standard that you are setting by allowing things to not be how they ought to be. So walk past hazards and let people get away with stuff that they don't want to be doing. That will become how people work on your particular work area, farm, forestry, or whatever. So that's me, that's Richard Wade. Been a great week, we've had a really cracking week. So we've been doing bus depots, been to the visitor attraction this morning, got appointed to help with health and safety. Absolutely outstanding news for us as a business. It's great to be working with people who take safety seriously and invest the time and the resources into getting it right and training their people. So you know where we are, at rascs.co.uk. All things safety, particularly agriculture and forestry. Do give us a shout, we're delighted to help out if we can. And final thing to mention is training. The website's now packed solid with loads of trainers, over 100 online health and safety, business skills and social care training, online training courses. Please go and have a look, great prices, and if you want to do a bulk purchase, give me a shout and I'll do you a great deal. Richard Wade signing off, have a fantastic weekend. Bye for now.